now entering the Horror Sanctum.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John and Kellen. This week, we're talking about a film from an iconic franchise. I'm talking 7 television seasons, 3 movies, an animated series, book series, comic book series, toy line, which Kellen has one that he got for Christmas, which he'll show later, and more. We're talking about Tales from the Crypt, specifically 1995's Demon Knight, Night with a K, directed by Ernest Dickerson. But we're not alone. Joining us this week is director, actor, former wrestler, Mr. Justin Sulham. Justin, welcome to the Sanctum.
What's up?
Um, you've worked on a ton of shit, dude. Like I was going through your IMDb page because I always like whenever we have guests, I'm like mention a few choice nugs, but I'm like I had to pick and choose my choice nugs here. So you've worked on Severance, Dexter, New Blood, The Holdovers, and a ton more. Most recently, you directed the horror comedy Big Bad Betty, which I have a copy signed by you.
Ding.
And it's beautiful, it's glorious, fun movie, which we'll chat about that later at the end. So stick around for that. We'll give Justin time to talk about the movie, where you can find it. You can buy it locally here in Middle Tennessee as well. We'll talk about that. But first, let's get into Tales from the Crypt's Demon Knight. This is a movie you should be familiar with if you're of a certain age, which if you're listening to this show, and according to our charts, you are of a certain age, like we are. We grew up with Tales from the Crypt. It was something that felt like we shouldn't be watching it, but we were. Fox picked it up. We saw that version of it, aside from HBO. So you should be familiar, but if you're not, ex-soldier Frank Brayker is the guardian of an ancient key that can unlock tremendous evil. The sinister but charming collector Billy Zane is a demon who wants the key so he can initiate the apocalypse. On the run from wicked mercenaries for almost 90 years, Brayker finally stops in at a boarding house in New Mexico where, with the help of his quirky residents, he plans to face off against the collector and his band of ghouls, preventing them from ever seizing the key. And of course, spoilers.
Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. Spoilers. Man, I fucking love this movie, to be honest with you. No, I can't even hide it. I love this movie. I first saw this, I think it was 1995 or 6. I was a kid. I was in Pickwick Lake in Mississippi. I was at a cabin. It was like my grandma's cabin or something. It was on HBO. It was one of those I saw like at 12 a.m. when I wasn't supposed to still be awake, sleeping on a pallet on the floor. I saw From Dusk Till Dawn the same way. It was like that kind of thing. So something about those mid-90s movies, I caught them on HBO. I loved it. It was immediately something as a kid that I picked up on and I thought was fun. I liked the TV show a lot. I was always a big Tales from the Crypt TV show fan. I think the intro segments for these movies kind of make them this and Bordello of Blood. I love just how the Crypt Keeper comes in and he does like a little bitty like mini movie thing, and then it shows him and he does his jokes. I just think that's so great, and it kind of ties into the show and it really gets you in the mood of what you're about to see. Makes it seem kind of special. I thought it was funny in this movie at the very beginning when you see the Crypt Keeper. He's usually practical, and I never noticed this, but in this movie, when he's like directing the segment and he's like talking to the guy and chewing out, I think it's John Larroquette. He's digital. Like I guess they couldn't in that scene, they had to add it in post or something. He's very digitalized. And I never noticed it till I watched the Blu-ray again today. Which is funny. They could have done that practical, but I guess it's probably one of those things where they filmed it and then after something happened, they had to add it back in. But yeah, I mean, this movie is just a bag of fun. It's great. It's, Bordello of Blood, I like. But Bordello of Blood is definitely not this movie. Bordello of Blood is, I think what makes that movie for me the most is Chris Sarandon and how campy and hokey he is in that movie, like the guitar when he's like acting like the preacher. This movie is just everybody in the movie is great. You got Dick Miller, he's awesome. Jada Pinkett Smith, when she wasn't fucking insufferable, the worst. She's good in this movie, and she's actually a good actress. She's good in this movie in her role. I think she does really great. It really messed with me so bad as a kid seeing Thomas Hayden Church in this movie is this role, because you gotta understand, I'm like 11 at the time. I'm watching Wings all the time. So I watched this movie and I'm like, what the fuck? Why is he on this movie
No,
acting like a
lol. No.
sleazebag? Yeah. I'm like, what? So this just totally blew my mind. And it was one of the first instances where I think in my brain I connected, oh, these people are actors. This is just what they do. It's kind of like in Creep Show when you see Leslie Nielsen and you expect him to pull out like a rubber chicken or something. It's like that sort of thing where you're like, these guys are actors. You just as a kid, you get so used to a role, you don't make sense of that type of stuff as easy. Um, Billy Zane, he's awesome. I mean, it's like his movie. He's so good in this movie. He's campy, he's charming, he's creepy. I think besides this movie, the one I always think about with Billy Zane is a movie called Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman. That's a really good thriller where he's like a psycho and he hijacks a boat and
Is that time out? Time out. Is that your second go-to Billy Zane movie? That is
that's
so fucking obscure, dude.
that's
Like
that's well, I think it's
Titanic, The
yeah,
Phantom,
yeah, no, he's great. I mean, I think it's
Zoolander.
yeah, I know. Billy Zane. No, I mean, I think it's just that he was so good as a kid when I saw that movie. I remember thinking he was so creepy. And I think it's one of those things that just kind of burrowed into my brain, that movie. But I agree, it is kind of a random role because he's done so many things like Titanic, whatever. Um, this movie, I didn't realize I was watching the behind the scenes. This was tied in to originally be three different movies. One of them was going to be From Dusk Till Dawn. And it makes sense because when you watch the demons in this movie, they look kind of like the same kind of creatures that the vampires are in From Dusk Till Dawn. It's not the same thing, but you could believe they're from the same universe in a way. So I could see why there was something there originally. I guess From Dusk to Dawn never was a part of this because Quentin Tarantino didn't let him do it. But I was just watching something about that. But the demons are creepy. It's watching this and Billy Zane the way he is in this movie, it makes you wonder why he wasn't a bigger star. Because he is a star, but it kind of makes you wonder like why was this guy not a way bigger star than he was? Because he obviously can act. I think it's like he does these campy roles, but there's a lot to him. Good practical effects. It's just it's so entertaining with this movie that I find myself not really worrying about the silly shit that I do with new movies, like filling in the writing gaps and all the things that don't work. I'm sure it's not perfect, but I just feel like this whole movie, you're watching it and you're just having such a good time that I caught myself today. I was like, I'm not picking this apart. Why am I not picking this apart? And it's just because the movie works. William Sadler, he's great in it as the lead character who's like this demon knight. He's carrying on this tradition throughout the ages and he has the key. I like the part where he's telling the story. And
Why did I just now put together that's why it's called Demon Knight with a K? What?
I know it's
So dumb.
right. Yeah. Well, I don't think, you're not wrong because I still think of it like demon night because it's demons during the night, but you're right. It is kind of a double meaning. I love the scene where he's telling the story about where he's from and why he's there. And he kind of looks at everybody and he's like, so now, do you feel better? And I think that's like such a cool line because that's kind of life in a way, right? Like sometimes being naive is so much better than knowing the truth. Even though we should know the truth, it's almost like once you know it, sometimes you're just like, God, I wish I didn't know this. Like I wish I could just go back to childhood when I just thought that was an interesting piece of writing. I did the one thing I could pick apart about it, because I know I'm giving like a love fest here on it, is I didn't understand how Billy Zane's character could like mentally manipulate people in the movie when he's behind the bloodlines. I didn't understand how he could do that because it's almost like he could go over things and like get in people's heads and stuff, which I guess is just maybe he's more powerful. But that's the only thing that they didn't totally explain is how he could do that, even when there was like a line across the doors. But I mean, overall, I really love it. I can't really, there's not like a lot of bad things I can say about it. It's fun. It's action packed. The story is entertaining. The writing's good. It's ridiculous, but yeah, I want to know what you all think for sure.
Do I go now?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
up.
Well, that's a tough act to follow.
Well, he's usually not that glowing on movies.
Not usually. I
So
usually hate them.
bravo. I enjoyed that.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed it too, and honestly, this isn't a cop out on my part, but I share so many of the same sentiments. I'm a huge fan of this movie. Um, I hadn't seen it. It was exciting when you reached out to me about doing this podcast. I hadn't seen the movie in years. I hadn't seen it. I mean, God, decades really. I hadn't seen it since I was a kid. Right? I was born in '81. It came out in '95. I was 14, so I probably saw it when I was like 14, 15. Right? I was a huge Tales from the Crypt fan growing up. Loved the Crypt Keeper. So when I was a kid, I must have loved it. I must have loved it, right? Because watching it as an adult, it tugged on all of my like emotional horror heartstrings, right? Like I laughed, I actually gave a shit about some of the characters. Like my whole spiel isn't going to keep tying back to Big Bad Betty, but to throw that in here, the one thing I did with Betty was I want to make sure that I had character development because I think so many horror movies just have all the characters are throwaway characters, right? Demon Knight was good about establishing some form of a reason to care about all of the characters, and either to care about them or to dislike them, right? Like Thomas Hayden Church being the asshole that he was. Even with the sheriff's deputy, he's this hokey goon that seems so incompetent, like a bumbling fool. But then when push came to shove, like he didn't fuck around, right? He got to work, and so I really liked the character development of it. I loved the use of practical effects everywhere that they could. I mean, obviously, we're not shooting green, fucking lasers out of our eyes. And for its time, I think that it looked. Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say for its time. It looked great because for its time, Terminator 2 was around the same time, and that was that's a tough act to follow. But there was a bit of a difference in the budget there, right? So they did the best they could with what they had. Circling back to the beginning of the movie, I did notice the same thing about the digital Crypt Keeper. I didn't care as much, and I think the reason I didn't care as much is I give movies a pass from back in the day because they were so restricted. They were so restricted to the tools that they had at their time, and also, being a filmmaker myself, you never know what happened to cause that to be. My guess, it was a reshoot. And they just had to digitally enhance, right? They probably shot a plate at that set and said, fuck it, we'll throw the Crypt Keeper in later. Now, why they did that and they didn't try to puppet something with close-ups or use even some type of a stop motion and really make it look hokey by design, I don't know. But I wasn't too hung up on that. I can tell you that the idea of the Crypt Keeper being the director of it and all of the different plays on the words, tonight's screaming instead of screening, and like that was fun. I think that it nailed the Crypt Keeper's I don't know, I guess like general aura, right? It captured it. It didn't overplay its hand for his character. It knew that it had to get to the story. So like the episodes, it was like, here I am. I'm going to say something funny. I'm going to make you laugh. Now here's the story, right? I liked the story itself. I liked the battle of good and evil because that's how I watched it, right? It was, it was just a battle of good and evil. Loved the car chase. There was one shot that really stood out to me, man. I loved it. So it's Billy Sadler's driving, and it's a post zoom, and it's sped up, and they tile shift the car, and it just got that grindhouse vibe. And I don't know if it was by design because it was the only thing like it in the movie, or if it was just the studio saying, no, we want a close up, fucking make it a close up, and that was just the best that they could do. But either way, I loved the way that they executed that. That's my shit. Like that's the type of shit that I'm into. As far as like I love post zooms. I love a gimmick. If a gimmick is by, like with Betty, right? Like I used that film grain and the glitch gimmick. It was to separate. It was a pacing mechanism, right? And so I love when people can incorporate a gimmick and have it make sense. There was nothing I disliked about the movie at all. I think that it was cast really well. Fun fact: I worked with Bill Sadler. It was funny when you went down the list of movies I worked on. You didn't name Salem's Lot. But I worked on the reboot of Salem's Lot, and Billy Sadler was in it. And he's so great to work with. Obviously, he's much older now, and he's moving much slower. He's not fighting demons anymore. As a matter of fact, we had conversations about the best places to go fishing. So he's living that low, slow life. But he was great to work with. So I love the casting of it. To answer your question about why Billy Zane wasn't a bigger star, it's because he's too fucking handsome. It's it. Nobody wants to cast him. Because everyone on set just looks like shit when Billy Zane walks in. Doesn't matter who you are. Like, oh, it's fucking Billy Zane. He's here, right? Like, put a bag on your face and shut up. So I feel so incompetent with that man on screen in front of me. I just felt like less of a man. No, he's great. Now, I hadn't seen it in ages, right? When I watched it as Bill Sadler is just the demon knight. He's not God, right? Because we established that he got the blood from Jesus, okay? I kind of watched it thinking that Billy Zane was supposed to be like the devil reincarnate because he reacted to the blood the way that he reacted, and it ultimately was, his demise. If he didn't feel just like a demon, to tie back to your question of how he was able to communicate beyond the force field, I don't know. Maybe because he was a god, right? I have no idea, and we'll never know. But yeah, I love it. I had a blast watching it, and that's my spiel.
So, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, 1995, 45% on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is the first time I ever saw it. and it's established from posts that I've made. I have a life-size version of the Crypt Keeper. I've got the toy that Jay got me for Christmas. Like, I grew up watching it on Fox with my cousin after Mad TV. That was our thing, that and Puppet Master movies, because they seemed to always come on when I was at my grandmother's house. But I loved the Tales from the Crypt. My childhood crush, Kathy Ireland, is in one of my favorite episodes where she's a model and she ends up being an anatomical model. For what it was for the time, it was always done so well. It had enough humor for kids, and it wasn't so over the top terrifying that a preteen would not be able to sleep at night. So it is shocking that I had never seen, and let me say, I've never seen any of the movies until this. And it was just one of those things where it's like I just never got around to it. So I can't say that it's because I didn't want to see them. It's just you get so far removed. This is 95. I didn't watch it then, and then it kind of goes away from your conscious. And you get onto other things. I'd grown past that. I'm just now starting to rewatch the old TV series and remembering how fun it was. And that's exactly what this movie is. It is so fun. I hate that I didn't watch it sooner because it is so good. And it was surprising to me because I was expecting hokey 90s B movie cheese, which is kind of what Tales from the Crypt was. It was production value was a lot better than most B movie stuff from back then. But this is not, big production kind of affair. This is practical effects, good acting. They always had big names. Robert Zemeckis was tied to it. The one I just watched today, Michael J. Fox directed and starred as a lawyer in. You start watching it and it's like the Seinfeld of horror. Like every episode has some recognizable actor or actress in it, and you're like, wow, everybody wanted to be a part of this. That's how big it was. This movie's no exception. Thomas Hayden Church, CCH Pounder, Jada Pinkett Smith, William Sadler, Billy Zane. This is a who's who of 90s and early 2000s stars, like people that were big for that time that have gotten bigger since. I think Thomas Hayden Church kind of his career kind of took off in the mid 2000s, bigger than it was back in Wings. In the 90s, he was in some stuff, but I mean that's kind of like when he got the Sandman role and he started doing some bigger budget movies. But this cast is fantastic, and that's what makes this movie so special. I think if you didn't have good actors playing in this, it would just be a forgotten film. But because you have Billy Zane, who's so charismatic and so great as the demon, as the collector, as he's called, he's so fun. And he has so many quotable lines in this film. And I didn't write any of them down because everyone super vulgar and over the top, and I can't do it justice the way he said it. But that scene when he's first kind of banished outside of the old church that's converted into a hotel, and it's like a Beetlejuice moment when he's like, "Hold on, mother." I mean, it reminded me of Beetlejuice when he's yelling up from the little play set. The practical effects, I mean, like like you guys said, we're restricted by the time. All the lightning effects, even going back to like the Highlander, that was always at best what they could do. Um, it's not, you automatically know that that's not really happening. The lightning's not really striking things, but being a kid of the 90s, you appreciate it because that's what we grew up with. That's all we had. Like the Highlander series, that was the best that we could do, and we were fine with it. The practical effects when he punches the cop through the face is so well done for the time, and I think that's again a testament to this series and the care that they put into both the series and then this movie. Was to put the extra effort in, not to just kind of half-ass it. Like with whatever budget they had, they probably squeezed every penny out of it they could, and we get rewarded. John mentioned From Dusk Till Dawn. I've only seen that movie once, and it was on a PSP that Jay may or may not have borrowed from Walmart and never returned and gave to me. Um, but I can see kind of like the similarities. For my money though, like I kind of enjoy this better, and I know 100% it's the nostalgia. It's because that was my childhood. My best memories growing up were at my grandmother's house with my cousin, and this was a routine Saturday night event. It was Mad TV, Tales from the Crypt, and then Sunday morning WWE replay matches that we would watch while getting ready for church. So not only do I have the nostalgia for it, this is right in my wheelhouse for the type of movies that I love. Like you can give me big budget, like the Marvel movies, they're their own thing. I can enjoy them just as much as I can enjoy this. This is such fun for me to watch. Um, because it does have that nostalgia, but it's also well done. It's not that they get cut corners because they knew that they had the fan base from the TV series. Um, they put care into it, and like I said, it's cheesy, it's hokey, it's scary at parts, it's fun. It just hits all those little my 80s child growing up in the 90s heartstrings. So I really enjoyed it. I really loved it. I'm sure that this is probably one that y'all weren't really scared that I wasn't gonna like, knowing my history. I'm sure maybe there was a little bit because because I am a little all over the place with my reviews. But no, I absolutely love this film. I had so much fun watching it. I will probably watch it again fairly soon.
This is funny. This might be a first that you guys liked a movie more than I did. And that's coming from somebody who fucking likes everything. Now, don't get me wrong, I still love this movie. I own it. I met Billy Zane. I have the vinyl soundtrack, which is my first note. Is like you start out with there's two songs that you can start out with in a movie or a trailer, and I'm in. Hey Man, Nice Shot by Filter, which they did in this, or Manson's Sweet Dreams. Like those, the opening to those songs, if you put that behind a horror movie opening scene or a trailer, I'm in. This is just such a 90s wacky movie that does it's fueled by nostalgia, right? Like 100%. Um, I love Tales from the Crypt. I'm like I said, I text Kellen, so I'm kind of disappointed you don't have the Crypt Keeper beside you, uh, co-hosting, but um, it's a fun movie. Billy Zane is one of the greatest villains in our time. Like he's always a good bad guy. He's a good guy too.
It
But
was a
he
hot minute before I realized that he wasn't the mummy in the Brendan Fraser Mummy, the first movie. Like it was a while before I was like, wait, that's not Billy's.
that's not something you say out loud. Also, why didn't I get myself a PSP? That's weird. Anyways, Jada Pickett Smith is my J-Lo. If you've listened to the show enough in our Cell episode, you know that one of us, Kellen, hates Jennifer Lopez with a burning hot passion. Jada Pickett Smith is that for me. She's not bad in this movie, but the more recent things with Jada Pinkett, and anybody else watch Gotham, where she played Fish Mooney? Oh my God. She was so fucking terrible. And they finally killed her. And then guess what? They brought her back to fucking life for some reason. I was so pissed. I can't get behind Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm kind of mad she's the final girl, but it's fine. Um, I compare this movie to Bridesmaids, and I know that's weird. And here's why. Bridesmaids is 4 long jokes in an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like there's like 4 things that happen in this movie over the course of the whole movie. And I know that's not true. I know it's not true, but that's just how I felt watching it again. Um, it feels like a long episode of Tales from the Crypt or like a 2 or 3 parter, which I appreciate that. I like the opening with the Crypt Keeper. That was fun. My biggest knock was the fire crotch scene. It reminded me of the Ghost Rider sequel, which should have just been directed by U Bowl, or however you say his name, because Ghost Rider does the exact same thing in that where he just pisses fire. That that was like, I get it. Like, you're zany, you're crazy, you're a demon, you're a collector, whatever. Come on, that was a little much for me. But which is crazy because the entire movie's over the top, right? It does feel like a From Dusk Till Dawn cousin, like it happened down the road from the Titty Twister or whatever. It definitely feels like that. Like, I haven't thought about that till you said it, John. And yeah, 100% same universe. Like, it's got to be. Um, has anyone else seen the Tales from the Crypt Ritual? That's the one that no one's ever seen. I've seen it. I've seen it, and it's like, I think it either takes place in Louisiana or Africa, and it's just about voodoo. It's actually not bad, but it's definitely third in line compared to this one and Bordello of Blood. Um, but yeah, I've seen this movie probably 6 or 7 times in my lifetime. Most recently this week for this episode. I do not hate it by any means, but I don't hold it to as high of a standard as you guys. Maybe it is fun. We were worried that you weren't going to like it, Kellen. We did have a side text about that. And I said, you know what? He loves Tales from the Crypt. There's absolutely no reason for him not to like this because it's Tales from the Crypt. Like, it's the same thing. So happy that worked out the way we thought it would. But you just never know with you. You're a loose cannon, my friend, loose cannon. So, but yeah, I can't really build on anything else. It's a fun movie. I like it. I own it. Um, but yeah, Billy Zane makes this movie 10 times over. If you take Billy Zane out of it, what do you got? You know, like, I don't even know who you could replace him with and it still be the same caliber. So he definitely knocked it home for sure. So we'll go around and give our rankings, close up shop. Um, John?
Watching this movie just reiterates the fact to me that Rotten Tomatoes is bullshit. Because I don't know if it's that nowadays people are looser on their ratings and rate things higher, or if it's just that Rotten Tomatoes has always been bullshit and people back then were behind the curve on things. But yeah, this is a great movie. Everyone in the movie is sleazy at first, and some people are redemptive, but it fits right into Tales with the Crypt. I know we were just talking about the side convo about Billy Zane. I remember we saw him at Full Moon Cineplex. It was like a few years back. And he's got this hat on. And I remember it's like this artsy looking hat, right? And I remember he's sitting there and he's like kind of just on his phone. And it was like, I swear, it's like it was the most Billy Zane thing ever. Like, he just was so bored being there. And
Oh yeah, he could have gave us shit. Like, when I got my picture with him, he's just like,
yeah. And I don't know why. I just, in my mind, was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what Billy Zane in any movie, I would imagine he would be like if he's like the character, right? I love it. It's a blast. It's campy. For me, I know it's shocking, but it's a 4 out of 5. I love it.
all right, Justin?
You know, I'll go 4 out of 5 as well. I want to give it a 5 out of 5 because the vibes hit me just right. But I'm also a snob in that I don't give anything a 5 out of 5. So, but I did love it. Couldn't get enough of it. I'm absolutely going to watch it again. Absolutely going to pick it up when I find it at a video store. That's my thing. I try to hunt them down in person. It's just a thing I'm into. But I'm absolutely going to try to get my hands on it, specifically VHS if I can. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Kellen?
Two things before my score. I will say it was a little unsettling seeing him walk. I don't know why. It just, maybe because it was digital, I didn't really pay attention to that. But just seeing the Crypt Keeper actually walk, like in the show, he always was like waist up and he was just kind of like milling around. When I saw him walk, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And then on the package of the toy, it has him listed as 5'10" and 30 pounds. So of course I had to go 30 pounds. Well, guess what? I love when continuity lines up correctly. The human skeleton of an average adult male weighs between 22 to 26 pounds. So him being about 30 pounds, considering he's basically a skeleton with dried skin on him, actually makes sense. So I appreciate that little bit of detail. Anyway, I'm right with y'all. This is the 4 for me. This is nostalgia. It's fun. I think even if I didn't have the nostalgia, I would have enjoyed it just because it is a fun 90s movie that's kind of hits all those little notes of people born in or of a certain age, as Jay called it. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
I give it a 3.5. I'm not gonna go 4. I love it. Also, Billy Zane was in Tombstone. He was a great dick in Tombstone too. I didn't even mention that, one of my favorite movies of all time that I turned Kellen on to. Thank God he finally watched it. But yeah, so that puts us at a 3.8 something. So we'll call it a 4. So Billy Zane, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, 4 out of 5. All right, that'll do it for this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to wherever you listen to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, join our Facebook group, and we have an Amazon Music playlist, which will feature some badass songs from this flick. So go check that out as well. Justin, thank you so much for hanging with us. Tell us about Big Bad Betty, where people can get it, and everything else you got going on or coming up.
Feature-length horror comedy. It's available in Middle Tennessee at Danger Zone Video, Grindhouse Video out in Knoxville, which is obviously not Middle Tennessee, but they reopen tomorrow, so I want to make sure to give them a shout out.
I was gonna say I thought they closed, so good. I'm glad they got back.
Their store reopens tomorrow. KBS VHS down in Huntsville, Alabama, and a variety of other stores. Or you can go to slashvillestudios.com. It's my brand new website. I just started it up. And I've got links where you can send me an email to request, to buy a copy. I have it on Blu-ray and VHS. I am planning Betty 2. The script's written, but it's going to take a bit of money to make. And I am in prep for my next feature, which the working title is called Stalkings.
Nice. Go check that out. Give Justin and the Flick a follow. Both of them are on Instagram. And yeah, Danger Zone's Video has it. That's where I met you guys and got you to sign it. So check that out there. Also, so Grindhouse reopened, but we have to sacrifice McKay's. I don't know if that's a fair trade. I don't know if it's a fair trade. McKay's in Knoxville's closing. We just heard the word today. It sucks, but it is what it is. Also, if you buy a copy of Big Bad Betty, message me or the podcast, and we will send you a little extra something as well to go along with that to entice you to buy it. It's a fun movie. Definitely check it out. All right, signing off. I'm Jay with John, Justin, and Kellen. And until next time,
Keep it spooky.